Apple losing ground on the back of earnings. I know you saw the signs, though, so I get where you're going. And with uncertainty in its service segment following a new ruling in the Epic Games case, Ben Reitzes of Melius Research joins us now. Ben, good to see you. Let's start on Apple, since we just had those big numbers last night, and tariffs are a particular danger to that company. You still got to buy on it. Why?
Well, I think that tariffs are transitory, and I think that they have a new iPhone cycle that'll bring in higher ASPs. I think that right now it's a little bit of a tougher quarter than we would have thought because they pulled the services guidance for the June quarter. That Epic ruling really the night before probably brought in some uncertainty. And when you don't guide for services, stock's going to get hit. But we'll see how it goes. If Apple can bring out some new services, maybe change some things around with regard to its relationships with OpenAI, maybe Google. Maybe folks will get a little less worried about their services revenue stream and things can recover. I actually think the tariff stuff will be pretty transitory. I'm pretty optimistic we'll eventually get a deal. We think there will be a margin hit over the long term about repatriating supply and whatnot that may be somewhat permanent. But overall, we think this tariff stuff will eventually work itself out.
Let's go Nvidia now. There have been all of these questions about demand from the hyperscalers, and some of that seems to have been erased this week, especially with what Meta said about CapEx. Microsoft, too. What does that do for your feelings about Nvidia stock ahead of its earnings coming up?
Well, I think that Nvidia is in a great spot. They right now there's a lot of doubt still. I do think that in order for the stock to break out, we got to get through these sectoral tariffs and AI diffusion. And then when folks know the rules of the road, the stock can really start to work again. That being said, I mean, it's the AI leader. If you accumulate the stock right now, I just don't expect overnight success like as much as last year when it doubled, more than doubled. But these guys are the leader. They're doing great. They have a new product cycle, and their big web scalers are spending. As I told you last week when I was on your show, watch Microsoft. They're the thing that is really, we got to watch. And they had a great quarter. They're going to spend big on cloud still, too. And then obviously Meta raised the CapEx, and Amazon has to spend as well to keep up. So, it was a pretty good week for Nvidia, all things considered. But we got to get through some of that government regulation uncertainty, and then I think we can resume.
Ben, Julian Emanuel over at Evercore put out a note this morning, basically said, Tina turnaround here. There is no alternative stock trade, specifically talking about the Megacap tech stocks. And the fact that that was a trade that worked, and it worked through a number of things over these last couple of years, just to reverse here into the beginning of 2025. He's arguing that it's actually coming back around again and becoming a trade again. I wonder how you see it now that we are through so much of the tech earnings season.
Well, these companies are amazing and very resilient. So when things get uncertain, they can dip into a lot of different levers that companies just don't have. I mean, and the funny part now is that foreign exchange is becoming a big tailwind for a lot of our companies. Which is not the best, highest multiple thing you want, but even that is going in their direction. But these companies are very resilient, geographically diverse, and many of them are indispensable products that you can't live without. So, at these times of uncertainty, these kind of companies, definitely are things you want to turn to, in our opinion. And like I said, with Nvidia, once we can get past some of this regulation, that'll start acting more, and asserting its leadership. But we got to get through.